anxiety around the idea that if you work out a story with friends, like if you go to your friends and say, friends, help, that story will no longer be solely yours. And, you know, I know when I have tried to convince people otherwise, I have described the process, and the process is often like, I will go to Cassie and I will say, there's something wrong with this book. Let me tell you what I think might be wrong, and you can help me figure out what I should do. And she will offer a suggestion, and I will say no. How do I know the answer is no? Right? What I do, you know what your story is, which is why it's still your story, even when your friends are giving you suggestions.
That's very true, that like, we work together. We have a group of friends we also work with, including our friend Callie Link, and who live in our area, and then sort of a larger group of friends that we often gather for these retreats. So it's interesting to have been, part of the process of people figuring out stories. I mean, we were there when Lee was figuring out Six of Crows, which now feels very historic. But at the time was just Lee being like, I want to write a heist novel. We're like, all right. Been there for all the books since Tide, pretty much, that you've written, and you've been there for all of my books. I remember when I first told you about City of Bones, and you were like, that seems like that seems like an okay idea, yeah.
You should write it.
You should write that. So I've been sort of sharing my work from the beginning with Holly and then sort of a larger group of people, but it is definitely true that often I'll sit down and be like, okay, let me tell you about this book, but here's where I'm stuck. And then Holly will be like, well, what's this? Maybe this, or maybe this other thing. And I think you do learn a lot about what your book is by being like, no, not that, but what about this? And then you kind of make the suggestion to the group of the correct idea, which otherwise you would not have been able to have. Like your writing group kind of basically helps you chip away at what your book is until it is revealed. I think, like chipping away at a block of stone until you get the statue. So you're sort of chipping away and you finally get the thing. But, it remains your idea because I think, fielding suggestions and absorbing concepts is, it remains. Like at some point when I was working on Chain of Gold, I was working on the ballroom scene that's in the beginning, and I remember Kelly said to me, why don't you have Cordelia make a mistake? And there is a moment in there where she says the wrong thing to somebody, but I didn't know what, Kelly didn't know what this mistake was going to be. I mean, Cordelia could have burned the place down, It was a very general idea, but as part of the structure of a story, I was like, oh, I see what that could do for me. So, yeah, I think that, it's often when I talk to people who are really, really, really stuck on a book, they're like, man, stuck on this book, everything sucks, and I'm like, well, maybe you should talk it over with someone, and we can talk it over right now. Holly is like basically famous in the writing community as being somebody who will fix your book. So she is always being buttonholed by people who are like, I have this problem. And she is extremely helpful. But yeah, I think, people are often surprised to find that talking over the problem they are having is actually incredibly helpful.
So here's my last question for you.
All right.
What's the weirdest thing that you discovered in your research?
Okay, the Edwardians are really big into nipple piercing. Right? I think you don't believe me.
I was waiting to see if there was no, really?
Follow-up?
Yeah, no, really?
No, really. Like, it's one of the weird things that I found out because I was looking into beauty and fashion of the era, and there was a diary entry from a lady who was like, and then we went down, we were in Paris, and we went down to see Madame B, who, will tint your hair, and then for an extra cost, as is all the craze right now, will pierce your nipples. And I was like, what? And then what? So basically, Madame B would pierce your nipples and then hang a chain between them. And that was very popular. That was a big thing. And there were a whole bunch of testimonies from different ladies of the era, gentlewomen of the aristocracy. I mean, one of the people who was known to have the nipple piercing was Lady Randolph Churchill. So, not the Churchill we know from World War II, an earlier Churchill, but still part of a very fancy family. And she had both nipple piercings and a tattoo. And I was like, this is wild! Like, I did not know that women of this era got tattoos, but there was a trend for tattooing, and several of the princes had tattoos, and the king who would later go on to be George V. And there was this whole nipple piercing thing where ladies got their nipples pierced and then joined together by a chain, and they would talk about the various things they would hang off the chain between their nipples. And I was like, get ready, and ladies,